In recent years, Mazda has been consistently building some of the best cars in their respective classes. So when an all-new model comes along, it really is worth taking notice, especially when it looks as good as this. It's called the Mazda 3 and is the latest in the Japanese company's lineup of mid-size family hatchbacks. As far as styling goes, for a family hatchback, I think this car is stunning. Okay, so the rear three quarters perhaps might be a little bit nondescript, but everywhere else, the latest iteration of Mazda's Kodo design language, with its bold grille and super clean lines, really makes it stand out from the crowd. This design, however, does compromise headroom in the back slightly, and I don't get as much legroom as I would in a Ford Focus or Skoda Octavia. What this means is if you regularly carry tall passengers, there are better options than the 3. It's the same story with the boot, which is fine but not class leading. At 351 litres, it's 30 litres smaller than a VW Golf. Plus, this loading lip is really quite high. As expected, you can fold the back seats, but they don't drop completely flat. While you couldn't call it small or impractical, it's clear that space wasn't a priority when Mazda designed the 3, and it's a trend you can see across its other models too. Where Mazdas tend to excel is in areas such as the driving experience and real-world fuel economy, but we'll come to that in a minute. First, we just have to talk about this interior. Like the exterior, it features the latest evolution of Mazda's design language, and in my opinion looks every bit as good as anything you'll find in an equivalent Mercedes, Audi or BMW. Material quality is excellent, with plenty of soft touch surfaces and high quality leather, and the combination of digital and analogue dials looks modern and is easy to use. There's also a standard head-up display and a new infotainment screen with the latest iteration of Mazda's Connect system. This is a big step forward over Mazda's outgoing infotainment system because it responds faster and has a much sharper display. And by using a rotary dial rather than a touchscreen, it's much easier to use on the move. In terms of ride and handling, this car is excellent. Like other Mazdas, its steering has a lovely build-up in resistance as you start to push the car through corners, and it feels really agile and quick to respond. Its ride is firm but not uncomfortable, even with the 18-inch wheels on our GT Sport spec test car. It's just a shame there's quite a bit of tyre roar on noisy road surfaces, but otherwise the dynamics are all really well resolved. As with other Mazdas, the 6-speed manual gearbox has a satisfyingly mechanical action to it that makes changing gear a pleasure rather than a chore. It's a good job too, because the 2-litre petrol engine powering our test car feels disappointingly flat unless you work the gears. That's partly because it's normally aspirated rather than turbocharged, but also because Mazda has had to balance performance and economy, which means that this car has just 122 horsepower. Along with 157 pounds-per-foot of torque, it's enough to get the petrol-powered Mazda 3 from 0 to 62 miles per hour in 10.4 seconds, which is a tenth of a second slower than the 1.6-litre diesel model. It's not a terrible engine by any stretch, it's just that unless you regularly change down a gear, it feels gutless compared with the turbocharged engines that most of Mazda's rivals use. With the help of cylinder deactivation and a mild hybrid system, it returns almost 45 miles per gallon in official tests, and in our hands we've been getting just over 40 miles to the gallon, which are excellent figures for a 2-litre petrol. The best engine though might be yet to come, because later in 2019 Mazda is going to offer the 3 with its brand new Skyactiv X petrol engine, which combines spark and compression ignition to give 180 horsepower, 52 miles per gallon economy and CO2 emissions under 100 grams per kilometre. The idea is that this engine will offer the free revving nature of a petrol car with the response and torque of a diesel. Its very existence is further evidence of the fact that Mazda likes to do things its own way, as is the fact that this car will soon be available as a saloon and with four-wheel drive, which, let's face it, is all very tantalising considering it's a car that is already good enough to give the class leaders some serious food for thought. What do you think of the new Mazda 3? Let us know in the comments below, and please do subscribe and turn on notifications so you can see when our latest reviews go live. Plus, when it comes to shopping for your next car, remember you can easily find great deals from top-rated dealers at cargurus.co.uk.